I was in the middle of the summer, and I was talking to my brother and I was like, so technology is really saying there is Wi-Fi. So they don't say exactly what I said because they don't want to play with the yeah. I started playing it. Are they Italian or are they not? Oh, right. Like, that might be, yeah.
Okay, let's get started. Anybody got any idea what this is?
I know what it is!
How did I know that?
Because I did it. I did the opera.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah, it was a very fun opera.
That other school.
That one other school over there down the street.
Ah, okay. Title of this, you directed it?
I've directed it twice.
Okay. Business group is meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow at what time? 11? We're at 9 tomorrow?
Well, for costumes, the costume committee will be here at 11, and then we get to watch the Theater Mouse at 8:30. We'll gather here at 8:30 p.m.
Okay, so costume people are going to be here at 11. I'll be in here. I'll be working on scenes. What else is this weekend? Beethoven 5th and 4th tonight. The symphony. That's kind of exciting. They're going to hit all 8 of them before, well, this semester you'll get to do 9 if you want. Are you all signed up now? All of you who connected with Dr. Keaton. How many of you connected with Dr. Keaton about that recital?
I did.
Hands?
I did.
I mean, really, we should have more than that. How many of you could sing an English song? All you need to do is do an English song. Please connect with Dr. Keaton. Make it. Well, that ties in with this landscape thing at the museum. Okay? I wouldn't do, 3 Little Maids. It probably wouldn't work. How many of you are going to contact Dr. Keaton now? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, make him feel welcome by, this is a big project he's putting together, and I think he'd like to know that we're all supporting him. Okay? What else? Business-wise. Monday, we'll start having some idea what the scene program is going to look like, I think.
If you have not taken the online survey, the posted deadline for that is 5 o'clock today. Almost all of you have done that. Thank you. If you haven't,
Really?
repent of your evil ways.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's long, I know.
So, I
It
want
took
to...
you an hour and a half to take it. Imagine how long it took me to make it. So,
We have a guest, obviously. We're really delighted to have Ryan with us today. Ryan is, we kind of have my position at the Northern Colorado. Yeah, so he is the director of opera at Northern Colorado, but unlike me, he really is director, stage director. Stage director. And I play one on TV now and then. Mostly on the radio, but he wrote to me in summer and said he was going to be on his way to California. I don't know
Seattle.
Seattle, okay. So he's on his way through nevertheless, and that he would stop in and do this gratis for us, which I think is amazingly generous. Ryan has done, what, like 25 productions where you are now? Really? Yeah. Really? He also has a company in Fort Collins. Yeah. How many from Colorado? Colorado ties? Okay. summer, and Denver is amazing. I love Colorado. And Northern Colorado's got a very formidable program. So we're glad you're here. He also conducts or directs in places like Pensacola. So
Yes.
he's also been on directing staff at a lot of really important countries like Washington, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, really big places. So he's well connected, and we are all really excited to have him here. I don't know if we didn't even talk about what we would do today, and then the spontaneity would be kind of fun and exciting. These guys are all ready to sing pieces that they have. We have a little list without their names, so that and then we have some duets. What other duets do we have? Oh, Jared's not here. We have Pearl Fishers. Are you a baritone or a tenor? But you sing baritone on TV. And what other one do we have? Where's Greg Bucko?
He's not here.
Where's Greg?
I do not know that referee is not here.
Is the bar girl ready? I guess we have two duets. Bar girl? We're just starting. We haven't even signed the scenes program yet. We're just getting to know each other. We had auditions. Beth was here last Friday. We didn't have to on Monday, obviously. So we're just getting to know each other. And we did something really interesting on Wednesday. They had to, I decided to let them kind of throw ideas for scenes. I was really surprised.
You're a much bigger man than I am.
Yeah, and they all had ideas, and we got corrupted about 8.5 hours right now. So, anyway, Brian, thank you for coming. We can do this any way you want to. If you want to do like a masterclass, if you want to talk about what's important to you as a stage director, that'd be great. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Well, let's chat for a few minutes first to establish a common vocabulary for our work today. I am a stage director by trade, I'm an actor by training, and I was a singer for like 5 minutes. So I have great love and passion for singers, and I love training singers in the craft of acting. That's really great at craft. So we'll chat for a little bit first, talk about a few ideas and get some common vocabulary going. I want to get to the singing pretty quick because that's the good stuff. That's what we're all here for. So, and I'd love to hear as many of you as possible. Whenever I travel, I try to hear as many emerging singers as I can, especially since I've become artistic director for Tom's, and I have a small regional company. Guess what? We're not hiring Renee from them because we can't afford her. So we're hiring folks like you who are coming out of really great training programs like this. So I would love for as many of you as we can today. I'll work with you. I don't. I never call them master classes because I think I'm not like students of this craft. I think there are very few masters, actual masters of the craft. And I prefer to think of more of it as a working studio class. That we just all be working together towards a common end. It may not work in the traditional master class format of you get up and you sing, and then someone gives you some ideas and notes. And the second time you sing it through, obviously sing better because it's the second time, the nerves are over and got that done. And that just serves to make me look good. It doesn't, master classes can be very useful and you'll get good information and they may serve you as well. But all of that is to say that I may not let you get through your whole aria before I stop them and say, let's work on this because what I want to do today is work. So, with your kind permission, we will start our work. This is Devin. It says so right there. I don't know why he's named Devin. When I bought him at the thrift store, that was already on. You will be happy to know Devin has been sanitized. So Devin is very clean. Okay? What did you just see? Describe, use all the parts of English, all the parts of speech. What's your name? Kian? Kian.
Brian, blank, 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 Keanu. Deliver. Very good, very good. What's the verb in that sentence?
Threw.
Excellent. Did the way in which I threw the ball to Keanu tell you anything about what I think of Keanu, or what I think of Devin, or what kind of mood I'm in today, or what I want? Not particularly, right? Yeah. Using your parts of speech. Brian, blank, 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 Keanu, fill in the blanks. In order to what? What did Brian want from Keanu? To catch it. I'm sorry?
In anticipation of touching.
Yeah, yeah.
Playful.
Thank you. He said playful. Playful. So playful, not a verb, and in acting we deal with verbs all the time. Acting, action, the same etymology for that word. We're going to talk a lot today about actions and objectives and verbs, which are always expressed in verbs. So Brian threw the ball, but Brian threw the ball in order to what? To play, right? Now, Brian might throw the ball in a different way. I'm not going to throw it at you. But if I was really pissed off at Keanu, then I'm going to let him have it, right? So the verbs that we choose to use to describe our actions when we sing or speak or act or do anything are very, very important. We can call them objectives, we can call them actions. Those two terms are used interchangeably. And by the way, everything I'm doing in the next, say, 10 minutes, because I'm going to try to get through it real fast, is work that I traditionally do with my students over the course of a whole semester, exploring all of these things in a lot more depth and detail, and in particular application to song scenarios. But I want to establish this vocabulary today. So actions, objectives, always expressed in verbs, and played through a series of tactics. So if I want Keanu to, play ball with me, there are different tactics I can use. I can tease him to do it. Come on, right? Or I can bully him into it. Hey, I'm just going to play ball with him. Or I can use a reverse psychology. You are not getting this ball. No, I am not playing. Right? So there are a variety of tactics that we can use, I can use, to achieve the objective of getting Keanu to play the ball with me. So in life, objectives are never easy. And art, theater, acting, opera theater, by the way, art imitates life, right? So in life, we always achieve our objectives. Oh, no. What gets in the way? Obstacles. I'm sorry, what's your name? Lisa, could you stand up for a minute? So I'm going to try to, Keanu, you stand up. Actually, let's just get others out of harm's way. If you'll go to that side of Lisa. So I'm going to try to toss the ball to Keanu. And your objective is to make sure he does not hit the ball. Right? Now, I'm a really bad thrower, right? So Lisa's objective is Keanu's obstacle. Happens on stage all the time. Act 2 of Tosca. What is Tosca's objective? To get Cavaradossi freed, save his life. What's her obstacle? Scarpia, and everything about Scarpia. Scarpia's lust. Scarpia's greed. Scarpia's just a hateful Scarpia's a hateful man. So, on stage, as in life, one person's objective is another person's obstacle. And what happens when we put 2 or more people on stage with opposing objectives? That's where dramatic conflict comes from. Whether it's drama or comedy or tragedy, that's where dramatic conflict comes from. Is opposing objectives from 2 or more characters who are relentlessly trying to get what they want. Okay, short answer. So, let's think of another example. So, Don Giovanni, Donana, what does she want?
To avenge her father.
To avenge her father. What are the obstacles?
Lots of things. Don't define themselves.
Don Ottavio's kind of a
yeah,
whim.
yeah, she can't do herself because she's a lady, so and she wants Don Ottavio to do things.
Right. So she has moral obstacles. She has literal physical obstacles. So obstacles can be tangible. They can be intangible. What keeps us from doing the things we want? So what's the hardest area you're working on right now? Great. What's the hardest part of building software? The agility, whatever the long phrases, right? So how do you overcome that obstacle? Because you're going to achieve that objective, right? Your objective is to conquer this area. How are you going to overcome that obstacle? What are the tactics you are going to use to overcome that obstacle? Oh, that's a very good one. Intangible obstacle. Fear. Intangible obstacle. Are there any tangible obstacles associated? You're developing singers, so you're still working on technique. You still have tangible technical things you're working on in order to achieve that objective, right? So tangible and intangible obstacles get in the way of our objectives. In life, on stage, everywhere in between. And that's going to be the subject of our work today. One last thing before we get started, because I do want to hear as many of you as I can. What is your, well, sorry, it is going to be two things. Sorry. What is your instrument? Yeah? Great. So who, sorry, can I just have one volunteer at the piano for like 2 minutes, just 2 minutes? Come on. Sorry. Yeah, you can do that. Great. Talk us through, so anytime you're going to practice or perform anything, talk us and walk us through the warm-up. You don't have to do your whole warm-up. Just talk us through, okay, first I start with this, then I do that, then I do this. Okay? What do you do?
First I sit down with piano.
Yeah.
I kind of start off with some vowel warm-ups.
Okay.
Usually just playing scales. I try to go through each vowel, E, A, A, O, U, and I try and go all the way up to
Great.
my highest point of the range, and then I'll try and go low.
Great.
And then I'll work on solfege because I'm trying to pound that in my brain right now.
Okay. Good. Those are all
So
skills.
by the time I'm done, I've probably got about 15, 20 minutes in my practicing just to really warm up.
Great.
Then I pull out the repertoire that I'm working on, and I just kind of start from the top, and just kind of play my way through, and then when I find areas that I find I'm struggling with, I stop and just practice those areas where I'm working as much as I can.
Okay.
And then,
So, no, that's okay. And then what?
well, after everything, I try and sing again, but then instead of just singing it through, I try to visualize what the music's trying to say and try and sing it the way it's supposed to be.
Okay. Good. Those are all very good habits to develop. What part of your instrument are you working in those warm-ups? Okay. Thanks. I'm setting up. What is that? Set up. So what is your instrument?
Really, our brain makes everything.
So where does your instrument live? Inside of your body. Okay, is it, so if he's sitting at the piano vocalizing, and I'm sure you're not alone, if he's sitting at the piano vocalizing, which part of his instrument is he warming up? This, maybe a little bit of this, you know, but if your instrument, if in order to achieve this craft of the singing actor, if your instrument includes your body, what else does your instrument include? Be specific. You're right. It is everything else, but be specific. Yeah. So is singing at all emotional? So it involves your emotions. Is singing at all intellectual? So it involves your intellect. Is singing at all spiritual? So it involves, if you happen to be a spiritual person, it involves your spirituality as well. Your instrument starts somewhere an inch or two above your head, goes an inch or two below your feet, an inch or two out. I'm not actually a spiritual person. I'm reading auras, but singers are surrounded by auras. Your instrument is that which is just beyond your control. Just beyond your control. It's got a lifetime of control, and it's just beyond your control. That doesn't mean you can't achieve a certain level of control, but your instrument is that which is beyond you. It is all of those things. A good friend and colleague, who I will paraphrase badly, says that there are two things that make these singers unique among musicians. One, no one else can play your instrument. Sorry, I already forgot. Jeffrey. Jeffrey can sit down and play the piano beautifully, and then he can get up and go have coffee. And I can sit down and play the piano badly. And then in succession, we can all sit down and play the piano at varying levels of skill and success. Right? But who can sing with your instrument except? No one else. Only you can sing with your instrument. No one else can sing your instrument. But what's the flip side of that coin? What's the other thing that makes you unique among musicians as a singer? Well, that's true. Text. Yeah. I always tell the marching band guy that when he asks why my budget is bigger than his is, because my singers perform memorized and usually in costume. So words, that's true. But what's the other thing that makes you unique among musicians? It is that you can never put your instrument down. Jeffrey can close the lid of his piano, walk out the door, go home for the night, have a nice cocktail, and be done for the day. And tomorrow when he comes back, this instrument will be presumably in the exact same shape that he left it, and ready to play and ready to go. A violinist, put the violin in the locker, go home, have a nice dinner. Where does the singer's instrument go? Everywhere you go. It is always with you. You can never put it down. And because we have defined your instrument as something that is larger than your voice, your instrument is all of those things. You are never without your instrument. So when you're having a traumatic experience and bawling your eyes out, your instrument is with you. When you're at the bar having one too many beers, your instrument is with you. When you're at, I just passed driving in, I passed a beautiful stadium out here. So when you're at, the big game and screaming and shouting, your instrument is with you. Your instrument is always with you. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have the beer or you shouldn't go to the game. You shouldn't eat the hot, spicy Indian food. You should do all of those things, but you should do it with an awareness that your instrument is always with you. And if it is your objective to be a singer, you will need to make concessions for your instrument. You will need to always ask yourself, is this beer worth it? Is this game worth it? Is this whatever worth it? Right? So finally, and this last, I promise this is the last thing. So this craft of opera, and I realize not everyone in this coursework might not necessarily aspire to be an opera singer. I think it's a great career. I encourage you, if you even have the remotest passion for it, to pursue it. It's a wonderful life. But I realize some of you may want to go off and do other things as well. Some of you may want to teach. Some of you may, become lawyers and doctors. The skill set that you will learn in the craft of the singing actor is applicable anywhere. So for our purposes today, I'm just considering you all opera singers. I don't care what your intentions are. For our work today, you're all opera singers. So what is opera? What is this thing that we do? Yeah? Singing, acting, I like that. What else is it? Yes? Say again? Most of my screaming is uncontrolled. Yes, you're right. So from the audience perspective, what is opera? Okay, it's that. What else is opera? Art form. Very high. Excellent. So I'm 55 years old. I still have yet to find a definition that I truly think embraces. And the reason I love this art form, I was an actor for 15 years. I got out of business altogether for 6 or 7. I started directing. I figured out that I didn't miss acting, but I really missed the theater. So I started directing. And in my graduate work at Boston University, Sharon Daniels invited me to do some teaching in the opera program there. And that's what started me down this path of being an accidental opera director. And I love this art form because it's the most collaborative of art forms. It is singing and acting, it's dancing, it's visual art, it's all of those things. But how do we define it? What is it? Well, of all the definitions I've sort of condensed into my own little definition, the one that works best for me is that opera is a good story told with grand music and great singing. Good story told with grand music and great singing. So let's hear some good stories, some grand music, and some great singing. Who would like to go first? Oh, sorry, there's something about a list?
Oh, yeah,
There's a list I should be.
You can just choose what you want to work on.
How many of you would like to sing today? How many of you are ready to sing today? One. Hands up. Hi. Now take your hands down if you sang at the last Masterclass. If you sang, period. Because that would give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that might be enough. Or do you see doing more?
Yeah, no, that's going to be a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Just so we're fair, right? We can get you up here.
Once you say no,
Well, if he chooses, yeah. If he chooses.
They're not. I can do that if you'd like.
How about I did into La Causa?
I sang
Is
last
that
week.
you did? Okay. Okay, aria roulette. Well, let's just bat big out of the gate. How about Senza Mamma? So just as you are. That's what's your name?
Lauren.
Lauren, thank you, Lauren. So, let me start with you. Great. So first of all, what is your lower body tones? No, actually your hands are telling you.
Yes.
Your lower body is telling me that you're at Starbucks waiting for lunch.
Okay.
Okay? And not this hand was telling you you were ready. This hand. Right? Really nervous. Okay. Well, I know it doesn't help me to say don't be nervous. Right? So, do nerves serve you?
No.
No. So why bring it? Same moment. Yeah, this is working. We're all friends, right? We're just working. Who is she? Where is she?
This is Angelica. She comes from a wealthy family. She had a child at Luedloff, which is back in the day was just like huge city. So she's sent to a memory of the child's taken away from her. And she's just barely discovered that she's been in memory for like 10 years now. She's just barely discovered that her child died 5 years ago. Nobody knew to her. And they came to pretty much take her inheritance and leave her like the rest of her life. And so this is the point where she's seeing
Very emotional area. Very emotional area. So this is a very good question. How do we, if we don't bring emotion into our work, and it's not about emotion, we've got to play the action. So we actually wrote it, what does she want?
She wants the
Which she just found out she can never ever have or see again. Right? So, good verb. So, you cannot sing Suor Angelica without emotion. I mean, the music alone, you cannot sing without emotion. The singer, right? So we in studio we find where that line is and we tiptoe right up to the edge of it and we that's too far. Right? Okay. So you've just found out the news that and I'm going to invite whenever I ask you questions about your character, please speak in the first person. It's kind of a semantic trick, but as opposed to she wants this and she did that, I want this and I want that. You need to own who you are if you're going to play these characters. So just a little bit. So you want your baby, right? So what are you willing to do to
Well,
get your
I
baby?
ultimately take care of my life.
Right. And in the last moment to realize that by taking your life, you just condemn yourself. So you'll never be reunited with your child. Right? So what about your physical language can you change to inhabit a woman who has just found out she will never see the baby that was ripped from her, by the way, at birth? She says, I never even got to nurse my child. I never got to nurse my child. So what's the physical life that will tell us that story?
Senza sapere
audition, you're not going to throw yourself down on the floor, right? But at some point in your career, you're going to have a crazy stage director, and pardon me if my language is bad today. Sometimes it gets a little I always said crazy ass stage director makes you do something like hold a baby, because then what's happening? This all goes in. And then what you want to do is not that, right? So you find ways to do that. So just one more thing in the audition context then, how do you take that work and bring it into a physical life that will work when you're standing in the grip of the piano and there are people out there who might hire you? So the life has just been sucked out. Her hopes have completely been dashed. And the will to live drops out of you. So the impulse to drop to the floor was a really good one. Yeah. So think of this as a vertical floor. You've got this. There's no reason you can't. The problem that sometimes the piano is the only prop you have in an audition. So let it take your weight. As long as it doesn't become casual in your body, let the piano take your weight for a moment. Yeah? Can we just do the very opening phrases? Just to give you a sense of how bringing that work that you're doing on the floor into this. You rarely put these texts in this.
Because she's talking about how I never feel that blessing, we have it across over your chest, and we have it.
So what's different about the second time? You know, we say things impulsively, and then we, oh my God, wow, that's really true. So then we say it again, right? So the first time it's made perhaps impulsive, and the second time is, and it comes immediately. It's right? It's a little different. Terrific. Make sure to keep your discoveries up. How long have you been working with Italian?
Not very long.
your Italian is fine. It's a little, and I'm sorry if this sounds at all cool. I don't mean it that way. It's a little pedantic. It sounds like you're studying Italian. Do you know what I mean? And the trick with singing in any foreign language, whatever your level of facility with that language is, it's an acting challenge. It's acting as if that is your native tongue. So I would encourage you to, you can use the vowels more in the service of the voice. You know, tuning, that's better for vowels. You can use vowels better in the service of the voice, and the consonants more in the service of the drama. Do you know the great play by Terence McNally, Masterclass?
Yeah.
If you don't know that, thank you. If you don't know that play, you should. It's about Maria Callas giving a masterclass to 3 students, and 3 of the actors on stage are singers who haven't seen her before. She could sing a new one and go get crying. And but Ian, there's so much wisdom in this, and we took it from some actual audio recordings of master classes that Madam Callas did at Curtis Institute. But one of the things Maria Callas says is that vowels are the inarticulate sounds our hearts make. Consonants give them specific meaning. That's true of any language.
Hey Brian, before going on, this is, you talk about obstacle. And
Yeah.
in an audio like this, if you're thinking about what the obstacle is from the Catholic perspective, what's the obstacle?
The obstacle from the Catholic perspective is, one, I don't think she believes she's going to heaven in the first place because she's committed this huge sin.
This is why we do our history, we study history and studies of. So, and then at this particular point, then what's your obstacle?
my obstacle is that there is every single thing that they know is strong.
What is in the way?
The church itself.
No. Who are you singing? Who are you singing it to? Your boy.
No,
You're singing it directly to him. So the only obstacle is the distance of you being from heaven, which explains the very next thing you do. In other words, in her mind, it's so simple. I'm here, you're there. So the obstacle is distance.
Although, in the garden, he says, "Up, we're there, you're here. I can feel you around me."
Right. So he somehow, which you can consider music receiving, right? So that is the thing. In other words, keep your obstacle in mind, which helps the focus to stay up. And then he comes here, which is wonderful. So when you're paying really good attention to the words, and he's right there in front of you, you have to maintain another, then you have to find another obstacle. And the only reason you can do it is because you're alive. Or that minute that you kill yourself. She can kill herself because she is in charge of the herbs and stuff. So she works up a concoction and takes it and then realizes that the mortal sin is now going to keep her from seeing him for sure, which puts her in a real jam. And then Puccini helps us all out because there's a miracle on stage where the little boy comes out and says, "You're okay," which makes us.
And in his way, the musical moment that Jeffrey was just referring to, when she says, "I feel you," is he uses that music again at the very end when the child appears. It's that same musical motive. You're absolutely right about history is such an important part, and that's I spend all my time with my students trying to get them to be impulsive and get them out of their heads. But there is a very intellectual part of our craft too, and that's all the research and work that we do prior to starting to sing a role, and that's work that you cannot do too deeply. You can't, in this instance, know enough about the history of the Catholic Church at this point. You can't even know enough, frankly, about Puccini's relationship with the Catholic Church, which was complicated, right? Thank you very much. Let me see. Lots of ladies today. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Well, not all that way.
Almost anything is a little better.
Almost anything. Yes. We're on a theme here, so let's go to Portia Moore.
Good afternoon, I'm Monica Wright, and I will be singing Portia Moore.
Lovely.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
Speak through the text. Just speak the text.
Fuori di amor, quale te ristoro, al mio duolo, a miei sospiri. O mi rendi il mio, o mi rendi il mio tesoro, o mi lasciami morire,
And the first text that she repeats is what?
o mi lasciami morire.
Talking about repeated text. So what she said? And what were you saying? What are you saying?
I literally just did the translation, and it
Yeah.
literally just like fell on my
So
head.
you're saying, return my love to
Return
me,
my love to me, or give me death.
or let me
Die.
die. So is she? So first of all, how old is the Countess? How old are you?
I'm 27.
How old are you as the
Oh,
Countess?
as the Countess. I forgot you're owning the character.
That's okay. Okay.
I, as the Countess,
Now remember, this is just 5 years after the events of Barbarossa.
right,
And we know she's a young girl in Barbarossa.
Right.
1560.
probably 20, 22, maybe
Yeah.
at the
She's
oldest.
still a young
Right,
woman.
yes.
Who's in the room with her?
No one. Not a single
So
person.
who's she talking to?
God.
So this happens all the time in opera, the
All
soliloquy
the time.
aria, right? You've always got to make a decision about who you're talking about. I mean, even in the second act of Tosca, Scarpi is sitting in the room. He's sitting back in the dark corner eating his dinner, lusting after Tosca while she sings Visitante, right? But she's essentially alone. She's got to decide who she's talking to. And it's clear in the aria she's talking to God. She's saying, "What the?" Right?
I do.
So who are you talking to? You think?
Well, I feel like it's either, I feel like it can go back and forth. It can either be to God or it could be a reminiscence. So I'm either talking to myself or talking to God. Or both, because
Okay.
you're praying and you're maybe meditating on your own thoughts at the same time you're talking to God.
Okay. So when she says, "O mi lascia memoria," is she, given that she's a young woman, is she just like, "Oh God, stop"?
No.
No.
Not here. I think she'd be.
Why do you think that? Score analysis, script analysis, the most important work you can do. You can never do this work too deeply.
Well, it isn't a major key, so it's not musically written in a way that it's going to be that it's also in the second act.
So
it's
Mark
not the end.
Mozart is winking at us and saying, "Don't worry, she's not going to
She's not going to kill herself.
Okay.
So, I mean, there is that hint of over, like, a melodrama. But at the same time, it is so serious to her. It's her maid that her husband wants to sleep with.
That's right.
So there's still a
In 5
serious-
years, 5 years, she has lost the love of the only man she's ever loved. She's lost his attention. 5 years, that's all it took. And she's still a young and attractive woman. And all it took was 5 years.
Little less than 5 years, probably, because she moved yesterday.
That's true.
No.
That's true.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. and
He's been
doing
thinking
it.
about it.
That's right. That's right. So, going back to that issue of why she repeats that one line. Speak through the text for me. And with me, as if you're singing the audio, speak the text.
O mi lascia memoria, o mi regno,
Whatever.
cuore di amor,
So what's for German?
cuore di amor, quale te ristoro. All mio, I'm not even sure how to say it. Cuore di amor, quale te ristoro, al mio duolo, miei sospiri. O mi rendi il mio tesoro, o mi lascia il memoria, o mi lascia il memoria.
Right. So the second time you say that, I think it's because the first time it comes out impulsively. Return my love to me, fix my sorrows, or just let me die, or let me die. But can you start from the opening? The second time you sing that text, can it be with a sense of discovery? As in, that's a real possibility.
Yes.
Here's the thing. So the Mozart opera that's based on the Beaumarchais play, with the brilliant libretto by Dupontet, is absolutely a comedy, but it is a comedy. Comedy only works when we care about the characters, right? And we care this is the very first thing we see from the Countess, the very first time we see her on stage. And we care about her because we see how much she is suffering. So then we can laugh with her through the rest of the antics of the opera, but only if we care about her in this moment. So I think La Contessa has to mean it. I think she has to mean it. Let's find out how you mean it. Let's just find a point of focus. Find a, I'm sorry, what's your name? Daniel. Are you the one who got adjutant to our house?
Yeah.
You are? I know, right, great. So he's your now.
Okay.
I want you to sing this to him. Invoke his image in your head.
Okay.
I want you to sing it to him.
Okay.
Right? That's just like a circle.
Okay.
Sing.
Okay.
What does he give us in the dynamic indications? Is copy from So what indications does he give us? What does he give you orchestra? He's got these forte punctuations. But the last indication is piano. So what are dynamics? Dynamics are color. So he tells you, right? Thank you. Excellent. He gives you, and by you, I mean the orchestra. In Mozart, you always got to see what he writes for the orchestra. He doesn't take the trouble of notation for singers typically. Right? Absolutely. And many of them are modern editing things. But the only one he gives you in here is a forte on that last La Chalene. Right? So why are you afraid of that? Yeah, it's not the high note. It is Mozart's setting of Dupontet's fantastic text that says, "O mi lasciami morire." Let's just invoke a little Maria Callas, right? So, actually, if we go back to "O mi rendi mio tesoro," I want you to embrace. So, why would he give you score analysis? Why would he give you all of this opening text on a piano, only allowing you to go to the forte in that last place?
Because it is discovered.
Yeah, and what is it about all that early text that you would want to set it in piano color?
Theoretically?
Well, I could make an interpretation. So we're detectives, right? These are all old dead white guys.
Well, I think that
So we
because
have to try to figure out what they
well,
intended.
she's sitting alone in her room. She's not going to be like screaming the entire time.
I've been sitting alone in my room.
Yeah, I'm sitting alone in my room, and I'm not going to be screaming the whole time.
Right?
And so when I finally make the discovery, it's like, ah, there
That's
it is.
right. I think you're this close to that. And then Maria!
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I don't want you to be afraid of whatever, say flat or whatever.
It's a
So,
it's a mirror slash.
would you like something waiting for them? Thank you. Grace of death. Is that an A flat worth hearing?
Yes.
Why on earth would you be afraid of that? And more importantly, you were singing the text. You were singing the color of the text and the intention behind it. Yeah?
Yes.
I shouldn't have stopped you. My bad. Can we go right on, please? Oh, I like the little smile at the end. I think she embraces it. I think she embraces the idea. This is my plan B. I'm going to get him back, or that's it. I truly think she does. I think that's where the dramatic arc takes her. Because the next thing, Susanna and Carvina come in and they figure out why is she's so unhappy. Like, oh, what are we going to do? I know Carvina, let's sing a little song for her. Right? Just be aware of some physical habits of some singing sway in the body.
Yeah.
Just be aware. Do you ever work in the mirror?
Yes.
I always recommend working in the mirror. You need to see what we see, right? You need to see what we see. So work in the mirror, just observe your personal habits and be aware of them. You don't have to worry about them. Just be, you'll never fix them if you're not aware of them. Thank you very much.
Something you just did, I want you to all notice. Great job. He put somebody out in the audience as a very specific focal point. Okay? This is a critical thing to do because I've always said, well, imagine the stage. Maybe he's over there. Maybe he's left that door. It would be really a mistake to go, and see him where he just was on the stage. Somehow, we all have to get used to that idea of putting him in maybe a really young version of him. The one that used to go,
Oh, yeah.
That sing
Barbieri.
Yeah, and to have that sort of, that sweetness of like how it was, because that's what breaks our heart. Because I think if you're like, it's not as effective as seeing him out there, really out in the audience in your imagination. But what I wanted to ask you about is like when you direct this, I was working with one of my students the other day, and I thought, well, what's our typically, you know what the fourth wall is? A lot of people here. The fourth wall is this thing here, which is this wall. That's 1, 2, 3, and then you got this one. And we break that wall down occasionally, and that would not be a case of breaking it down, would it? Because you're not really talking to the audience, you are talking to that character. But what about in, say, I de la Causa? Does the count ever get to the point, you all know what a soliloquy is, right? Where the person's on stage in a hot spot and they're just talking to themselves. And this is the trickiest kind of thing to deliver sometimes. I actually encourage the counts to find people actually in the audience, although not specifically, but that wall can get broken down just a little bit certainly when he gets agitated. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that.
I don't do it as much as I do say with Guglielmo.
Yeah.
Donne miei la fate tanti. I mean, that Guglielmo's got to get out to the ladies in the audience for that one. But I think it works for the Count because he's such a narcissist. I think he imagines his world filled with he is. He is. He's such a narcissist. He can't imagine that anyone doesn't love him, right? So I think it makes perfect sense. For the Count.
Like characters like, say, what's the baritone in Barbara Seville? Figaro. If Figaro doesn't break down that fourth wall, it's almost a disaster.
Absolutely. Figaro has to, and actually, I think Figaro does more even in Nozze than the Count does.
Yeah.
Figaro does in all three of the
So that convention then works for some characters, but it would be really ridiculous if the Count just came to the first row and sang Porgy and Lord. But that's just part of our tradition of opera, and so directors are really good though at giving you. Normally, good directors are really good at instructing in these cases. But when you're preparing the piece, if you don't arrive with some sort of version of an Aida de la Causa that is to the audience versus one that could be to yourself, the really prepared actor is going to have almost two versions or three ready, right?
And that's the most important thing, that you develop this skill set on your own. Even if you're not breaking the fourth wall, find someone in the audience, use that person. The audience are their tools. They're tools for you to use. They're in your world, so they're there. So you might as well use them. Really, I don't know a single great singer who doesn't. And it also helps, even if you're just really singing it all to one person, it's this sense of communication that goes across the whole.
Excellent.
That's right.
Just one other thing. You also fortunately asked her to recite text in character. It was like really hard, right? I guess something that she could have done before is practice doing that. I would say if you haven't learned how to speak your text in character with complete raw acting going on, you're not going to sing your aria. I know everybody ignores that, but it's really food.
Great. In quegli anni. Who's that?
That would be me.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I love it. We never get to do this aria.
Yeah, I know.
I just love it.
Well, maybe you'll think twice.
That's right.
Hello. I'm Anthony Buck. I'll sing In quegli anni in cui val poco. In quegli anni in cui val poco, dava pratica la ragione, ed anch'io lo stesso fuoco, fui quel pazzo por non son, fui quel pazzo por non son, ma quel tempo in quei perigli, donna flemma capito, e capricci, e li puntigli, dalla testa mi cavò, dalla testa mi cavò. Preso di quella vittoria, togliendo giù dal moro del pacifico soggiorno una pelle di sommaro, prendi disse un figlio caro, oh figlio caro, poi disparve mi lasciò, mentre ancor tacito guardo quel volo.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about what you're singing. I doubt that most of you will know this aria is frequently cut from conventions of drill. I'm guilty of that myself. Sorry to say.
It's usually because you can't sing.
So sorry. Because it's a fun little aria.
So he's
What's the
telling
text?
this odd story about how when he was a young man, he too.
Try the first person.
I'm sorry. I'm telling a story about how when I was a young man, I used to be like all these other young people, like Figaro and Susanna and Barbarina and Cherubino, and I used to let my foolish nature draw me on to capricci e tutti, to caprices and little foibles. But then,
Right where we stopped.
Madam Maturity, it's a hard word. But anyway, Madam Age of Maturity came to me and gave me a present. And that present was the skin of an axe.
So do you know how
Yeah, because then a big storm comes up, and what does he do? He covers himself with the skin of an axe, and he's fine. And then, I'm fine. And then this horrible beast comes along, and he smells the skin, the awful smell of the skin of the axe, and he runs away because it smells so bad. And so the moral of the story that the video says, that I say, is that you can escape shame, dangers, and even death simply by wearing the skin of an axe.
So do you know the character of Basilio? So it's the same character Margaret's Mill that
Except his voice.
Right. It's supposed to be the music teacher, and he's Bartolo's confidant and henchman, and he's a rumor monger. Any bases in the class? Any bases? So I'd like to start at the top, and I'd like to work on the physical life just a little bit. Okay? So first of all, what does he want? Let's go back to that primary question, verbs. What does he want?
In this moment, he wants to look smart.
That's right, because he wants to what? Whose favor is he trying to win?
Well, he's always trying to get the council.
It's true.
Council
Super.
where that's money and power.
By the way, that's what we call a super objective. So you have these moment-to-moment objectives, which we achieve by varying tactics, but the super objective, Basilio's super objective throughout the opera, is to win the count's favor and thereby gain status. Okay, great. So what I want to work on, how do we create a physical life that helps you convey that objective and achieve it? What do we think?
In words.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you why I asked. Because what I'm seeing is a sense of, I talk a lot about gesture when I get into sort of the meat and potatoes of the work. I talk a lot about a sense of gesture. Gesture should always be impulsive. If you ever have a director who wants to, well, no, that's not true. Some directors will choreograph every moment. If you ever work with Stephen Wadsworth, he will tell you to hold it. Have you worked with Wadsworth? Fantastic director, brilliant productions. He will tell you to hold the teacup and the saucer, take the teacup and sit like this. So you'll hold the
Also
saucer.
the angle of the pinky.
Absolutely. You do this. And then he'll say, no, like this. And so then you do this, and he says, no, like this. You know what I mean? It will be that specific. And I think he is actually a terrific director. But I try to discourage a sense of choreographing your audience so you can develop a sense of impulse. Because one day, some piece of the text may resonate with you in a different way emotionally that will allow something else to come out physically or make a great discovery with scenic pattern or whatever. So I talk a lot about gesture. What I'm seeing with you, Anthony, is a sense of repetitive gesture, and this again sounds so hard and cruel, I don't mean it to, meaningless gesture. That what I'm seeing in the physical life isn't telling me anything about what I think you want to say. Okay? So how can we create a physical life? Play that action and tell us what you want to say.
Hey, he'd be open.
Mm-hmm. Remember, he wants to impress. Is that a good verb? Is that a good verb for you?
Yeah.
To impress. Great. So how are you going to impress us as Basilio?
Open, probably slower, more broad gestures, things. Well, it's vague in general, but moving with purpose.
Right. So good. Absolutely. So what are his obstacles?
His obstacles to being impressive.
Yes.
Himself.
Yeah. What is Figaro in the Beaumarchais? Let's say Figaro. What does Figaro in the very opening scene? And yes, by the way, when you're doing any of these operas, you must read the source material. And in the opera, if there's source material, you must read it. You must know it because that's what the creators. And this goes to something I usually mention in my preamble. We are not creative artists. What we do involves creativity, absolutely. But we are interpretive artists. The composer and the librettist created something. And in a sense, in this case, I suppose you could say they were interpretive artists as well, because they were interpreting the work of Beaumarchais. They must always read the source material. And in the opening scene of Beaumarchais, Figaro says that he wants to whip the obsequiousness out of his spineless. He describes Basilio as a spineless character, literally spineless. So, if your objective is to be impressive, what can we imagine the literal, tangible, physical obstacles are?
Having no spine.
So, I'm asking you to drop down a little bit into your body. If you've ever had, I have a terrible posture. Singers have much better posture, so good for you. Get down a little bit into your knees. Lead a little bit more with the hips. Let's just walk from Now, if this is the obstacle, what are you going to do to achieve the objective? If this is the obstacle, the intention is going to be to walk a bit more upright, but the obstacle is that the body will Good. Let's just start at the top and work with that idea.
In quegli anni in cui valtavo da pratica ragion, ed io lo stesso fuoco, fui quel pazzo por non son, fui quel pazzo por non son.
Very good at that. Which is stronger right now, his objective or his obstacle? The obstacle is bigger than the objective. The obstacle is bigger. Very good, very good. That's how we find out, right? So this is the natural state of being, which is his obstacle. This is the natural state of being. So then you're going to find those moments where you, even us short guys, every once in a while stand tall, right? Let's get it from the top, please, Maestro.
In quegli anni in cui valtavo la pratica ragion, ed io lo stesso fuoco, fui quel pazzo por non son, fui quel pazzo por non son. Quando poi coi puntini non la flemma capito, e capricci per i puntini.
We'll start Good. So now I've got meaningful physical life in the body and in the face. Sometimes I call it the mask, but in the face and the body, I've got a lot of meaningful physical life. I'm still finding a lot of. It's gesture that's not related to the point. So what do we know about Basilica? To make these choices, what do we know about Basilica?
He's devious. He's really unprincipled. You use the word obsequious.
Yeah.
Which I love.
What is?
Words.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely. What is his profession?
He's a music teacher.
Oh, what kind of music? What does he teach?
Singing.
Teacher of singing. So they usually carries the violin sometimes. So what is he going to care about? He's going to care about his hands and his fingers. So I would think that I would invite you to discover a sense of physical life with the hands that is very economic, because these are precious to him. These are his moneymaker, right? So you aren't going to take too many chances with this, right? Only to make a point.
Are you thinking of the?
Yeah, I think sure. That'll work. Yes.
E capricci e contigli dalla testa mi cavò, dalla...
Sorry. So, yeah, well, that's okay. You know, I mean, that singers did that for generations before supertitles, because somehow you had to, to the American audience in particular, if you were singing in the foreign language, you had to make things super clear. So it's not that that's a bad choice, but I think there's a better choice to be made, right? So la testa, so as opposed to indicating, is there some other way? But in the sense of economy, what would you use? I don't know. Right? Okay. Sure.
E capricci e nipotini dalla testa mi cavò, dalla testa mi cavò, preso di qua di colo, se con lei mi trasse un giorno e coglievo giù di mano per farci di soggiorno una pelle di sommaro, prendi sia figlio caro.
Those last phrases Di somaro. Why do you say it 3 times?
To make the point.
And in order to make that point, the musical choice is already made for you. You're doing it. What is that?
Yeah,
crescendo, right? So what's the dramatic reason for the crescendo?
It's a punchline. It's a joke.
And they don't get it. Are they laughing at the joke?
You guys, this!
Are they getting the joke?
Yeah.
Di somaro. Oh my god. Right? Right.
About the several instruction board, you do part 4.
Thank you.
Se con lei mi trasse un giorno, giù dal molo del Pacifico soggiorno, una pelle di sommaro, prendi disse al figlio caro, oh figlio caro, poi disfarne mi lasciò,
Good. Why does he laugh at his own joke?
Because it's funny.
Yeah. Okay, well then do we want it to be funny for them?
Well,
Not the joke itself, but the moment.
yes, the moment.
You want the moment to be funny? So then what would Basilio's laugh be?
Oh, like mine.
Okay, so if somebody told you a really good joke, two nuns walked into a bar. Okay, so I think he needs, so these character tenor roles in particular, and all Fox have their own sort of version of these character roles, but for some reason, tenors get more of them. So these character tenor roles, you need, if that's your thought and you're, what you're doing, you need to develop this stock of unique things. I mean, singers in Mozart's day certainly did. This stock of unique tools that you can use. One of them might be an affected laugh in this moment. That is, he's laughing at his own joke because he thinks it's so funny, but the laugh is so obnoxious to the rest of it that we laugh at him laughing. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's my line.
There. That's the laugh. Yes, thank you.
Se colleghi tras un giorno e togliendo giù dal mondo e pacifico soggiorno non crede di somaro prendi di sera figlio caro figlio caro prendi sera figlio caro oh figlio caro poi ti scappi di lascio mentre ancora magico guardo quel mondo.
Thank you. What is Mozart writes here for us? A couple of changes. One, a change in meter. See, and what's the expressive?
Is it
Maybe minuet. Yeah. See. So what in Mozart's world? What is that?
That's a dance, right?
Oh yeah, minuet, a dance, very delicate court dance. So if he has delusions of grandeur, let's try dancing. Let's do it. So show us your best minuet.
Mentre ancor magico guardo quel mondo, mentre ancor guardo quel mondo. Oh, sorry.
Let me just give you a simple. I say never choreograph here. just try that you can invent anything. But try, he probably went to the ballet once or court once and watched a court dance and tried to remember and pick up the steps so that he could use that as an affectation in his effort to get it right. So without singing my solutions, but now, do it in his body. See.
Mentre ancor magico guardo quel mondo.
That's a bar dance. No. No. So his objective would be to imitate the court dance, which is very light and delicate. But how does light and delicate look in this? Yeah. Thank you, ancora, maestro.
Mentre ancor magico guardo quel mondo, mentre ancor guardo quel mondo, il cielo s'annubla.
Sorry, we have here, il cielo s'annubla. Il cielo s'annubla.
I would love to. So I think, and I'm going to make sure we can move on to 2 others. So I think you should develop this section in that style, and also find, because if you're going to do this aria in production, it's got to get laughs. Because by this point in the last act, we need some yells, you know? So if you're going to do it, I would find a way to make find some minuet thing. I'd throw in a little, whatever his version of a tour jeté is, something that...
Brian, when you do this, do you do it with Marcellina? I mean, you haven't done it, but would you do it with Marcellina
Oh,
in
absolutely.
the room?
Oh, it's part. It's
It is
But Marcellina's just been there too.
Right.
She sings her little duet.
Right.
But if Bartolo leaves, she's
Absolutely.
I mean, Bartolo, if you play it with Bartolo, if he's in there too, Bartolo could be in there, and when he looks at
absolutely.
you straighten up, and when she looks at you, she keeps encouraging you to do more. But to have that in your mind, that you've got those two faces looking at you, where you're straightening up to one, and
Oh,
she winds
absolutely.
the other way.
The nice
You
thing
make her laugh all the time. I don't know. It's just
the nice thing about the dramatic structure of the last act is you could definitely play around with that, for sure. Yeah. So I would encourage you to go forward, but be very specific in your choices, because you don't want to ever see general choices.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you so much.
I'd love to stay. I'd love to stay on the Figaro theme with the focus ahead. This all
wow.
Sorry, I just chopped all of my hair off. It was
Oh my
down to
goodness.
here like this morning.
Oh
So
my
that's why.
goodness.
It looks
Wow, nice. Oh, this is good. Look for you.
Especially
for a Caribbean.
right?
It's like
I look like me. I don't look like anybody else.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Brooke,
Brooke.
sorry.
No, that's fine. Fantastic. Fantastic choices.
Thank you.
I immediately see how nervous he is.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Is nervous his objective?
No,
What's his objective?
to hide his nervousness.
In order to what?
He is asking the Countess and Susanna, like, I have these really strong feelings, and I don't know what's going on. So you maybe just like share a little, but I'm cool. I'm cool.
I mean, he's that's the core of it.
Yeah.
That's the core. How old is he? How old are you?
14 and 15-ish.
I am what? I am 15.
I am about 15.
I am not about 55. I am 55 in 6 months. I can tell you what. So you're never about anything. You are
Okay.
what? I am what?
I am 15.
Excellent. How many 15-year-old boys do you have? I mean, and you in your life, not.
Oh,
I mean, what's your frame of reference for 15-year-old boys?
I don't know, like high school, maybe some like
Yeah.
cousins on my husband's side.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, if you've been around for 2 minutes, you know who they are. Oh, that'd be cool, right? So what I'm saying is too much obstacle.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's an objective.
Okay.
Because you need them. You need the information that they have.
Okay.
Right? Fantastic, fantastic. From the top, please.
Okay.
Good. That's much self-awareness. You're having too much fun. So, I think, you know what, I think the introduction, I think the instrumental is a good option. I mean, you know, clearly we need to make clear that he is nervous. And I think the instrumental is a good point to do that. So as you were doing for the so that once you start singing, find a way to overcome the obstacle and here's the problem. Whenever I do this, right?
Brian?
Yes,
Can
then.
you do this? Because, I mean, there's so many ways to do this. I just
Oh,
wanna
of course.
Pick your brain on this.
All choice, and these are all choices, by the way, all choices.
How do the gals look at him?
Oh, I think they are so enamored of the sweet boy, that he's never going to have a moment with them that he desires, but I think the women.
So boy.
Kind of like,
Oh, yeah, they
okay.
see him as a boy.
cute.
So boy.
Yeah.
And that, boy, if that isn't an obstacle, I'm a man.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely right.
Call me a boy. Right, because that's a really good one for a 15-year-old.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Okay.
that is the age of it. And that's actually the perfect expression. Thank you, Bob. That's a perfect expression of objective. The objective is to be seen as a man. The obstacle, you know, on the inside, in every way, tangible, physiological, emotional.
Do you want to set up the little scenario with two others?
Sure. Or can I have a Contessa Susanna? Whoever gets up here first. Go.
He's not nervous because it's funny, right?
Who's my Contessa?
I am.
Oh, there you go.
I am like.
I found my obstacle.
So she brings up a good point. You know, she's Marina is a page. Marina's a page, a servant, a serving role in the household. So that speaks. That's a given circumstance, a condition about his physical life to make the right choices. I think when you're in the room alone with them, I think you behave differently than you do if the count walks into the room than somebody with his wife. Because you feel drawn to them, you feel close to them. I think it's a little more natural, a little more comfortable. I think he's less worried about the social structure of being a page in this house. Okay? Half is fine. Half is fine. For now, half is fine. Excellent. Thank you. This helps a lot. So now you're overcoming that obstacle of feeling like a boy, wanting to be a man, the objective of being a man. Mm-hmm. Is that going to get you what you want?
Well, I feel like there's an arch through the aria where by the end I'm more like, whoa, kind of a
Like
thing.
what? Use a word, use a verb.
Like tell me, tell me, you know, like.
To beg, to please, to demand.
Yeah.
Right? I think you can cycle through all of those verbs, but some element of that has to be present in the beginning. You're absolutely right. It's an arc. Every aria is a story. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you have to, absolutely every aria. So you're right, there's an arc to it. But if we don't see the kernel of what he wants, what he needs at the beginning, We
Okay.
don't need to go back. My story where can we pick up right
Why
away?
don't we start
That's where we left off.
right on Eker Midwogo
Thank you. Pending desire. How does that live in your body? It's so inappropriate for him to be talking about desire. It's so inappropriate to be having this conversation at all, right?
Right.
But if you're going to do it, so the whole point is,
I'm not a man. It's hard for me to.
that's right.
Okay. No, I am a man.
You are.
No, I'm a boy.
You're. But you want to be a man because men are in control of their hormones, aren't we? Boys are not. Boys are not in control of their hormones,
Okay.
and that's the obstacle in this moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Sensual affecto. Where does your desire live in your body? Yeah. You don't have to. It's not that you have to be that literal or crass or direct, but
Right.
it's all about teenage boys are not in control of their body. Adolescent boys they're not in control of their body, and that's the whole
Okay.
problem. So
And you know, you have to keep in mind this bedroom thing. What does he smell? I mean, perfumes. I mean, all of these things. It is really hard to describe what it's like to be a 15-year-old boy because not 2 seconds goes by without you thinking about. So it's just right. It's a constant. It's kind of fun, but I'm glad it didn't last. The thing is, it's really hard for girls. Well, no, you see the boys doing it, but you have to sensually put yourself in there. The closer you get to them, the more you can smell them. It just gets you so aroused, and I think that's so important. That you understand where that lives, because it doesn't live in here. It lives clear down on the other end.
And discovering obstacles, you have to step across the line a few times before you know where it is. So how far you want to play that. But the other side of that, the other reason why Carabiner would be so aroused at this moment is this is the one room of the palace you're not supposed to be in. You're the count's page, not the count's page.
Okay.
Right? This is the one room you're not allowed to be in.
Have I ever
So-
been in here before?
Oh yeah, all the time. You're always caught.
Okay.
And the count even says, we caught him again at Barbarina's, we caught him. I believe you're always in here. But it's that excitement of the count coming through the door in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Brian, just one other thing.
Yeah.
Your knowledge of the score inspires an understanding of the character because Brian knows what all the other characters say about Carabiner. And that's especially important. The source material talks about Carabino, but in the Mozart, the other characters will say these things about Carabino. So if the Carabino is acting somehow against what the others are saying, then there's noise.
Are you suggesting you want to use more than one's own
Wow.
In script and score analysis, the two questions you must always ask yourself as you read through a script or a score, what do I say about myself and what do others say about me? And then the third question you should ask right behind each of those questions is, do we mean it? Do I mean it? Does he or she mean it? Is it true? But what do I say about myself? What do others say about me? It's fundamental to score.
So when I'm singing a role, I translate everybody's part. It's just part of the job. And boy, does
And
that
when do you do that in the learning process?
first.
Okay. from the centro da peito.
We could start a little bit before that.
Quello che però
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
You will never see a man walk. If you see a man walk like this, send him to the chiropractor. You create that moment of discovery. The moment you discover that you are in fact aroused, do you want her to see that? No.
Because in fact, you still are a boy.
And maybe that's it. It's oh. There are all kinds of solutions to the problem, and we make these discoveries. We only make these discoveries by virtue of playing a very strong objective with an equally strong obstacle. Yeah, fantastic. Now don't crack up this time.
What do we call that, Brian, when somebody breaks character? I do really, I know that was fun, but I want to see less of that as the year goes on. Because we'll all be laughing when you stay in character. And sometimes it's really hard. It's that thing where you go out and you go right to the end and you're almost crying. Not crying, almost. Where you almost crack yourself up and don't. Not like Carol Burnett, where they actually do, but you hold it back, and that becomes funny for us, but not for you.
Okay.
But that's the right idea. It is a sequence of objective versus obstacle. I really need this information, so I'm going to tell you what's going on, but I'm not going to let you see it because I want you to think of me a different way than I really am this kind of guy instead. But no, this is what I want. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A series of discoveries.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
So, it's talking about the Beaumarchais, and we know that if you read the whole trilogy, who ends up having the baby? Who? The Countess. And whose baby is it? Carolina. Yeah. So this can be, it could be too cute.
Okay.
There still has to be enough believability in it that he could do something more than just rascally, So, yeah, but that's it's lovely watching all you guys play today, Brian. Everybody was really willing to just, we always talk about being willing to play. Do you want to say any final things? Because we run out of time in about 6 minutes. 6 minutes, yes.
Sure. Well, I thank you so much for your work today. I love this work that we all do. I never get tired of it. I particularly love working with young singers. I made a decision kind of halfway through my life that whether I wanted to move into academia or continue in the freelance professional world. And while there was so much I loved about freelancing and all those wonderful theaters that Bob and I worked at and those great colleagues, I derive my joy from working with young singers and helping them make discoveries about themselves as artists more than I do working with crusty old singers who think they know everything. So I thank you for your work today. It was a lot of fun. I'll leave out some business cards. Feel free to contact me if you ever have questions. If you're ever coming through Colorado, love to have singers come by and sing for us. Yeah, are there any questions I guess I can answer? Or yes?
When are you doing auditions? What shows are you doing?
Well, for Opera Fort Collins, we just opened our season with Così fan tutte, which I did a very contemporary 2015 version set in the New York City dance club. Which the top of Act 2, if you know Così fan tutte, the top of Act 2 opens with Secco recitative. And so instead we had Don Alfonso breakdancing to some beatbox, which was tons of fun. I don't typically do that kind of thing, but we had a lot of fun with it. We do, in the middle of the season, we do an apprentice artist production, which this year is a reduced version of my, I did a Daughter of the Regiment a few years ago that I wrote a new English performing edition for, because we wanted to set it specifically in the American Civil War. So we're doing a reduced, and it won national award. So we're, backed by popular demand, we're doing a reduced version of that.
So are they in the Union or Confederate?
Well, they're both sides.
Oh, so
Yeah, they're both sides. So, and then we're going to close our season with Othello. So we typically do auditions at varying times throughout the year. Basically, I'll hear a singer whenever they come to Colorado. I'll hear a singer anytime. We'll do our company auditions typically once a year. We actually just did some in August, and I expect to go to New York in March. And aside from that, frankly, I don't do a lot of auditions. I do most of my casting by going to young artist programs. I was just at Santa Fe and heard their apprentice artist auditions. I go to St. Louis to hear their apprentice artist auditions. So the young artist programs are your best friend in terms of getting out there and getting seen. Yes?
What impresses you during an audition?
Good preparation and confidence. I never expect, especially with young development singers, I never expect perfection. I never expect it to be a completed product, a completed voice, because it's never complete. We're all working all the time at becoming better artists. But a sense of confidence and knowing somebody who's really well prepared. A singer who comes in and clearly has not coached the language or the performance practice, doesn't understand the style, has clearly not, and I see it, frankly, with professionals who are represented by agents sometimes, not often, but but singers who really don't know just what the hell they're singing. And that's an immediate turn off for me. So just a sense of confidence, owning what you do, and that you've come in well prepared, that you're not wasting my time or your own.
So, anybody have something that like profoundly hit them today that hadn't thought of it before, hadn't heard it before?
Oh, I thought it was
I won't raise my hand.
I think every time you are practicing, you want to start with the physical one because it works to your body. So do some stretches, do yoga, do Alexander, do some physical warm-ups, breathing. It's all about breathing. I didn't talk about that a lot today. So many of the dramatic choices you make, let alone how it affects your singing and musical choices, are all about the breathing. I mean, I would do 20 minutes of just breathing exercises before I ever formulated. Is what I recommend. But yeah, warm up the whole.
What did you hear?
Knowing the language that you're singing and convincing your audience that, like you said, making them feel like, oh, that's their native language. Me and Josh were working on the vocals through that, and it's my second French song I've ever learned. It was really difficult, but I just really, once I communicate, you just gotta convince.
I've got to say, I'm secretly glad we didn't do that today because my French is this school. I was afraid I was going to have to. So, but you, I'm glad you're working on that because if you can fool anyone in French, you can fool anyone in English.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you heard that now. You'll never get to a day when you say, I'm really good at French. Because anyone who's really good at French continues to work on French. When you go to France and you listen to them talk all night long about their own language and how to use it, you realize it's a never-ending thing. The more you do it, the more curious you get about it. So, it's... Yeah, so just make that one of your fetishes. Language could be something that you get really, really interested in and curious about. And that's one thing, guys, like your French may not be good, but you know when somebody is singing crappy French. There you go.
I have something real I was fascinated by how much attention we have to pay to the little teeny, tiny details. And I don't have a whole lot of experience even with just like theater stuff. I never did that in high school, so I'm still new to this whole thing. But like when you were working with Anthony with the stuff about like his hands, he's not going to make big gestures because he has to protect his hands. It's like, oh, duh. Like that's not something that you would necessarily think about, but it's also like I don't know. It's just something that I never really took into.
The preparation work can never be too detailed.
Right. Yeah. And it's something that I have problems with because I tend to overlook those things.
Isn't it great to have another set of eyes on you? You know what I mean? And I'm one of these people, you said use the mirrors.
Yeah.
But if I can get a couple people over here to crack up by doing the little finger idea, you throw that off, get together, you can come and use the space. It's like Jim Carrey in a mirror. He just sits there and makes faces. Oh, that's a good one. Because we are technical actors too. It's not all that. But when you're doing, Basilio, you're 99% of it is. So that's a great observation. We're out of time, guys, but I know now that you probably all had about 15 things you'd want to say to Brian. I mean, this has been a fantastic class. Right? Really. cards and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Or Saturday night. Or
Saturday, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. 9.
Okay.